Hey everybody, welcome to episode number 4, signature number 3. As a mixed media artist, I love the art process, and through that process, I learn so much. So that's why I like using different pages and doing different things and learning different things in my art notebooks and journals, because that's what makes them so unique and original. In today's episode, we're going to build an accordion, print on a vintage collage, and create a double spread. Let's get to it. Hey everyone, so we're on to our third signature. This is the cover of my third signature. I decided for this signature to glue on a transparency which has the lines on it, so I can write what I want to and it'll be over top and it won't ruin the picture underneath. So I just thought that was something kind of neat. And once again, I've made the signatures for this. I haven't decorated them too much. I have mentioned that we're going to make an accordion, and indeed we are. So we're going to use this signature as our accordion, okay? And we're going to put the accordion here on this side of the page. For now, I'm going to put this to the side. This is just from a drawing pad that I have, and I made kind of a template of the accordion. So I'm going to just put this to the side. This template, I'm going to use this for the paper here. You'll see what I'm going to do with it. It's going to be pretty cool. It's the foreground, middle ground, and background. I have different things that I'm going to do for each one, but I'm going to show you how I made this first. So I'm going to take this sheet. What I did is I measured it, put it on my measuring board here, and then I took my ruler and my bone folder. And what I did is that every 2 blocks I scored the page with my bone folder so that I knew where to fold the folds. So for this third one, I'm actually going to trim it because this piece I don't need. So as you can see, and I'm not sure if you can see that, but I have 2 folds. I'm going to fold it over on the first fold inwards, and then I'm going to fold it back, just like an accordion. And there's my accordion. I'm going to use this as my template. I'm going to lay this on top and just draw around it so I know where to cut. So now I'm going to cut. I want to put this paper on the backs of each of my folds because that's where I'm going to make my notes. I'm going to take this, just trace around. Then I'm going to cut it. That's okay if I'm not following my pencil lines. I'll come back and trim it back later. So we'll go right here. Remember, this is on the back of my accordion. like that. Now I'm going to use the yellow sheet and put it on the back of this one. I'm going to use my template, and I'm actually going to cut that out so I know how large that my yellow sheet needs to be. Okay, I just flip it over, measure it out, and I just draw around it. Glue that down right away. I'm going to trim the side a little bit. I'm going to make sure that it's folded on this fold. So later on, when I'm finished with this, I'll actually draw my lines before I actually glue it in. So let's construct this. So first of all is, in preparation with my template that I originally had, I made some houses, and I cut up an old postcard that I had, and these are going to be my fence posts. So I kind of just already did some pre-cutting and pre-arranging here. So before I do that, I want to put green down here. So for that, I have this. So like I did with the yellow, make sure it's lined up and just trace around it. Okay, now I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to glue that down. So I've decided that I want to embellish my grass just a little bit before I move on. So what I'm going to do is I am going to use my black Sharpie. Let's turn this over so you can see it a little bit better. And I'm just going to do a dotted line around the edge of my grass. Next, I'm going to ink the top as well. Depth. Okay, so now we're going to move on, and we are going to do our houses. I'm going to put the fence on last. So we're going to do houses here, and we're going to glue those on. So my houses are here. So I have this house and this house. So first of all, I'm going to glue down this house. And I've already pre-measured with my template. And if you want to use a template, that works great. I just like using a template so I don't mess up on the real thing. When I was making all of these little pieces and templates for this, I took my black Sharpie and I went around all of my edges. I just like looking at a black edge rather than a white edge. You can kind of see a little bit of edge there. That's okay. I'll just cut that off. Then I'm going to glue in my second one, and it's going to look like this. So I'm going to glue my roof down. I just might come back and actually cover that with some more paper just to make it a little bit more secure and stable. Now, my background. So my background is actually going to be this color. Remove this. So what I've decided to actually do with my background is that I want to measure it against my signature page because I want this green to go all the way to the top of my signature. So I'm just going to eye it here. So I don't want this to go down to the parallel to the bottom. I want to have a little bit of a gap. And I'm just going to hold that down and I'm going to open that. So I've measured it here and here, top of my signature to the back of my accordion. Okay, so I'm going to cut that. So I'm only going to glue this down to the back of this, but I'm not going to glue it yet to my signature. So I just have to measure how far I need to glue it down on my accordion. And I'm just going to make a little tick mark here and here so I know how far I need to glue it just to my accordion. That way when I glue it onto my signature, it will all be in one piece. So there is my accordion. So I'm going to cut this little piece off because this isn't kind of working when I open it up. Okay, so now I'm going to glue in their little trees. I thought they were really cute. So that is going to go right here because this is my background. So I just want to make sure I place those. And it doesn't really matter if I go over because this is going to be the background anyway. So before I do that, I'm going to just draw some horizontal lines. Now I'm going to glue down my trees. This one I'm just going to draw a trunk. I'm going to put double-sided tape on my accordion and tape it to my signature. Then we'll come back and I will put the fence on. Okay, so I have fastened this now to the signature. Looking really super cute. Now we're going to put on the fence. So first of all, we need to do the slats horizontally. I think right there, and then we're just going to measure how long they need to be. Attach it here and here. Then I can put my posts on. Have the post. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue them all on and then I'm going to go back in and do the little tops to it, kind of like a peak. Go back in and cut them. Okay, and basically there is our accordion. So I just wanted to point out that I did add the backing to the back of my houses. I matched up the scrapbooking paper that went along with this. So that went quite well, you can barely tell. Added my lines. And there you have it. There is our accordion. So I'm going to show you how to do a vintage collage that later on I'm going to print a vintage picture on top of the collage. So I have here just a regular printer paper. That's on top of my scrapbooking paper. I don't want any more, and that protects my work surface from glue. So I have here also some ephemera just from my collection. And I'm going to glue it down in pieces to make a vintage collage. Then I'm going to show you what pictures I'm actually going to print onto my collage. And if you ever are familiar with the artist Lori Marie Jenkins, she is an amazing mixed media artist, and she refers to these little pieces as underpants. So I'm going to put my ephemera underpants on top of my page here. I also wanted to let you be aware that depending on which way you're going to be printing your vintage picture on top of the collage, I'm going to print 2 pictures on my collage. So I need my paper actually to be landscape and not portfolio size. That's why I have this picture in landscape. Okay, so I'm going to start gluing down my pages. These pages and ephemera that I've just gotten from some old children's books that I used to have and that I still have. The trick about gluing down collage is that you want to make sure that all of your sides are glued down and that it's okay gluing underpants on top of other pieces. I'm making sure that my pieces, when I glue them down, are going over top of the edge of my paper. Once I have everything all glued down, then I'll go back and cut them away. Some of you might be asking why I'm not using Hodge Podge. I'm not using Hodge Podge on my collage because when I put it through my printer, I don't want it to be sticky or with a very shiny surface, because then the printer ink won't adhere to the paper when I put it through. So even when I choose my ephemera, it's just regular paper. It doesn't come with a shiny gloss or sheen to it. I want to make sure that when I'm also gluing on my underpants pieces that I make sure that all of the edges are glued on, because when I put it through the printer, I don't want the edges coming up and then jamming up my printer. Okay, I think that's it. I'm going to wait till this dries and then I'll come back and cut off the edges of my paper. My collage is dry now. So I'm going to flip it over and cut off the excess. So before you put your page into your printer, really make sure that it's dry. It's still a little bit tacky that I felt. I'm going to wait till this completely dries before I put it through my printer so it doesn't gum up my printer. Once it dries, then I will show you what I'm going to print onto my collage. These are the photographs that I've chosen that I'm going to print onto our vintage collage. So right now we are in PowerPoint, and I love using PowerPoint because the images are so much easier to move around in PowerPoint than in Microsoft Word. These 2 images are very personal to me because they are of my father. So the first one is my uncle is driving the bike and my father is tagging along on top, getting a ride. And then the other one is my father on a pony. I wanted to include these photographs into my notebook as they are very personal. So to print them, I'm going to come up here to File, then click on that, click on my print. Okay, I'm very aware that there is a border around my photographs. There's nothing I really can do about that. That's just how pages are printed. So I come in here to full page slides. I want the full page. And I do not want to select the scale to fit paper. I do not want to select scale to fit paper because that'll give me just even more of a border that I don't want. So I just click on high quality. I want print one-sided only, and then I come up here to print, and there you have it. So we'll see how this turns out. All right, so I have printed my pictures onto my vintage collage, and it turned out really, really well, I think. That's okay if I can't see his face too well. I love the sort of the layering of the images. I haven't made the signature for this yet. So I'm gonna put this to the side because what I want to do is I want to kind of have them fold in from the edge of the signature. So I need to make my signature for these pictures first. So I'm gonna put that aside. Okay, so for my signatures, I've done something a little bit different. So here's my signature template. This is old wrapping paper that I found at a thrift store. And this is just a regular paper bag. I really like the feel of this. As you can see, I've already used this for some other project. I'm just going to open this up so I can use my signature template with it. So I'm just going to cut the sides. The good thing about this paper is that it should be big enough to put my entire length of my signature on it. My signature template, I mean. So I get my signature template, I'm going to turn that over, and as you can see, there's already a fold, but I have a rip here that I don't want. I'm going to cut this down a little bit so we can see it. There. That's more manageable. Okay, I'm not actually going to use these folds. I'm going to create my own fold for this. So notice that I am going off the edge a little bit with my signature, but that's okay. I'll cut off the edges so it fits later on. So first of all, I'm going to make sure that my fold is big enough. I'm going to line it up with my lines here. I'm using those as my guides, so my fold is even. Okay, and that's the fold that I'm going to use for my signature. So I have to be careful because I don't want part of my signature will be ripped off. So I want to make sure that my signature is further up on my page here. So I put the fold against the fold, I get my pencil, and I just do my corners. Then I cut. There is my signature. So this will be the outside of my signature. And this paper is going to be the inside of my signature. And I'm going to use double-sided tape and put them around the paper. Then I'm going to put the wrapping paper on top, and then I'll cut to size. I have all of my double-sided tape on the inside of my signature. I've also traced all my lines. I'm going to take off the tape and I'm going to put this gift wrapping paper on top of my tape, and that will be the inside of my signature. Wrapping. Now I'm going to cut. I'm just going to fold it over on my fold, use my bone folder. And there's my signature. So on to our next step. So I have my printed vintage collage sheet here, and I want to cover it with something unique. And so I have this scrapbooking paper, and so I'm going to glue the back of this down to it. Okay, now I'm going to cut it. I'm actually going to cut out the size of both of the images. So I have both of my images here. So before I put this in my signature, I'm going to do my lines. Okay, so I have done my lines on the back of each of my images. And in order for me to connect this to my signature, I've decided that I'm going to use a ribbon hinge. This is some old ribbon that I've had laying around for a while, and I'm going to use this to hinge the pictures to my signature. I don't need a lot for each one, so I'm probably going to use about 3 hinges for each one. I'm going to measure these to be about maybe like 1.5 inches, because I don't need them very long. So I'm just going to mark them off. So I will need 6. Okay, I have my 6. So I'm going to glue these on. I'm going to use my tacky glue because it's a lot stronger than my glue stick. Want them to be about the same distance in. Okay, so I'm going to let those dry, and then we will come back and attach them to the signature. Hinges have dried, and I've actually found this ribbon in my collection, and it says Treasured Moments, so I just tacky glued that down onto this one. And this one also I found All Boy, and I did that too, and I tacky glued that down to this one. For further decoration, I kind of thought the ribbons were a little bit boring, so I decided to put these in where my ribbons are. They're brass kind of brads. And I'm going to put one on top of the ribbon, so that it's just kind of a decorative. I have my awl here. Make sure the holes are pretty big. I'm going right in the middle. I actually have part of my awl. This is for folding down brads. So I'm going to put all my brads in first, and then I will fold them down. Okay, that looks a lot better. I really like that. Okay, so I'm going to do it to this one too. There we go. Awesome. Okay, now we're going to glue this to the signature. I have decided before I glue my hinges to my signature that I want to kind of distress it a little bit, or make it look even older. So I'm going to just use my ink. First I'm going to put ink on my signature. there are my images. So now I'm going to attach it to my signature. So once again, this one will go here, and this one will go here. So using my tacky glue, kind of centering this up. I'm going to make sure that I leave a really small gap so that it can flip over and it doesn't ruin my signature page. Now I'm going to do the other side, making sure that it's all where it needs to be. I want it to be centered in the middle. So I'm going to let this dry, but I'm going to show you sort of what it looks like. So it flips over quite nicely, okay, even though there's a nice little gap there. So there is printing on our vintage collage. So onto our double spread. I have this little girl that I found online that I printed off. I'm going to add some color to her. So what's going to happen is that she's going to go in the middle. This is my signature, right? She's going to go in the middle, okay? Because this signature is going to be in the middle, or this page is going to be in the middle of my signature. So when I open up this page, she's going to be there on a double spread. I'm also going to add another pretty paper behind her so that I can have even more paper to do my notes on. So before I construct her, I'm just going to add a bit of color to her. Even though it's a black and white, I've used my watercolor markers and it seemed very stark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use my pencil crayon to just kind of add just a very light touch. Add a little bit of rose in her cheeks. I am going to use my watercolor blue for her eyes, but I'm not going to add a lot of color. I just want to add a little bit of color to her cheeks. Okay, really light touch. That's as light as I want it. So I'm going to take my marker here, and do her eyes. I might go back in and color her sweater, maybe color the bird, but for now I'm happy with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut around her on this white line. There you go. What I want to make sure is that when I fold her over, I want the fold to be right in the center. Okay, I don't want the fold to kind of be off, so I want it to kind of go down into the center as much as possible. Okay, so she's gonna go here. So when I open it up, she'll be there. And then, so I'll add more pages to that side and more pages to this side. She's my double spread. So I'm gonna put her aside. This is going to be the back. I've already drawn a circle. This part, she's gonna go on top of this. And I'll I've already drawn a circle for the inside. And I've already done my lines. And the back of this already kind of has lines on it, so I can just write my notes on that. So this is going to be the extra sheet that will go behind her. So I will cut out the back. So I'm just going to draw my lines on the back and I'll be back. Okay, so I've drawn my lines on the back. I'm just going to put that to a side because I don't need it right away. The inside of my circle once again. And I have this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue her down to this frame first. And then I have some circles that I wanted to add around her to just give it a little bit of color. I will get to that, but first of all, let's glue her to this black frame. There you go. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to double side the circles, but the circles it doesn't matter to me if they don't match. That's okay, it adds the fun. So I want to make sure that when I do or glue on my circles to the back that I'm not putting circles here or here because that's where my fold is. So first of all, I'm going to glue the circles front and back together and then I will glue them down. Okay, so I have my little girl and I'm actually going to put her face down in the fold of my signature so I know where to put the petals. These are 1-inch hole punch and I made sure that I punched really bright colors so that she would stand out. First of all, I'm just going to place these around the edge. Make sure that I remember so I'm not putting colors next to each other. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, 8. It's about 8 petals. If I wanted to, I guess I could move these up, put a little bit more on, because you never can have too many petals. So I want to make sure that my petals don't go over my edge here. Basically just use my pencil and just make a little tick on the back of where my petals can go. So they're spread out. I don't want a pink next to the pink and a green next to the green. I want to make sure that they're a variety of colors. Just move my signature. And I'm going to put this underneath. And then I'm going to glue these in order as I had them. And I'm gluing them where I put the little ticks. Just seeing if they still and if I adjust anything. So here's my signature again. Okay, so when I flip her, that's going to be really cute. Okay, so I'm going to do the other side and I'll come back. Really, really super cute. I'm really pleased with that. Now I'm going to glue the back to her. So I want to make sure that my lines are going the right way. Looking good. So crisp up this crease here, this fold. She's looking really good. Okay. So that on there. Now I'm not going to connect her until she's sewn into my signature. And I'll make sure that she's all lined up when I sew her into my book. And there is our double spread. So we've come to the end of this episode. So I just wanted to show you the full third signature of what we've done today. This is my cover, like I said, right? And then here is my vintage collage. I still need to decorate some of these pages, but I'll go back and do that. Here's our accordion, which is super cute. And then this, when this is all sewed in, this will be our double spread. Did a few things here. This is the back of my printing on my vintage collage. And I still have a bit of decorating to do, but that's okay. That's our third signature. So just remember that not to worry, I'll do a full flip through when it's all completed and done. Okay? We'll see you next time. And now you know the rest of the story. Thanks for joining us today, everybody. If you're really enjoying this series, please subscribe and click that bell button so you know when the next video is going to be released. Our next video is episode number 5, signature number 4. So keep on with that art process and learning as much as you can, and have fun because that's what it's all about. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next time.